Hey guys, Shelter here. Now, a while back I made a video on all of the allied weapons in Normandy. Or another while back from there, I made a video on premium squads, which you can check out in the annotation at the top. And I'll probably link them both in the description as well of this video. Now, during this time, I haven't even rated the Axis weapons yet, so this is what this video is going to be about. Rating all the Axis weapons in Normandy. Well, just looking at the squads and how good they are, how good the weapons and are they worth buying or not. Now, of course, this is going to, like the previous video, this is actually going to be about the infantry squads and not about the vehicle squads. I'll probably do another video on the vehicle squads after this soon, so stay tuned for that one. Anyway, let us start. But first, I have one thing to do before we do start with the Axis, and that is to talk about the new American weapon, which is the M50. During the Tunisia update, the M50 got added to the game, and many people have been asking for the M50 for a long time, and it's finally been added. The M50, of course, has a 20-round magazine. It can use both fully and semi-auto fire. It had a hit power of 6.8, and it generally looks quite decent. Now, the main problem I have with this is the sights. Now, these sights are quite awful. They take up so much of the screen. It's generally quite stupid how huge these sights are. Like, come on, look at this stuff. It's so weird. Like, it takes up like 90% of the screen. The Thompsons are bad sights. People moan about the Thompsons bad sights. What the fuck are these sights? So, but I will say though, it is, other than the sights, which is not really useful for an SMG, it's an okay weapon. I would probably buy it in a pin. Like, if you want to use it, sure, go ahead and use it. But for me, I do prefer the Thompsons. It's not bad. I'll probably give it more like a 7 or an 8, maybe. But a 7, maybe closer to a 7, actually. Not bad, but not perfect. So let's go on with the Axis weapons now. The first Axis premium squad is the Assaulters. Now, these cost 875 gold and are armed with the MP18. Now, the MP18 had a hit fire of 5.7, hit damage of 5.7, 410 to 450 shots per minute, reload time of 3 seconds, horizontal and vertical recoil of 23 with a 32 magazine, and can only fire on full auto. Now, there's a few things I don't like about this weapon. First off, I don't really like the recoil. I think the recoil, it spins around in a circle and you keep hitting the moon. I don't really like this recoil. I also really like the M50, there's a major big thing with the weapon which I don't like, which is where the magazine is. It's literally covering half the screen on the left side, which is not good in a firefight. Other than that, I really don't like this weapon at all. I think it's a little bit too uncontrollable. And to be honest, I do prefer the MP40. I do prefer the other SMGs. There's a lot of things I don't really like about this. And I get it, it's a World War I era weapon, so I can understand why it's, a premium squad and not in the campaign tree, and I will actually say I do prefer it not being in the campaign tree because I'm not really too fond of the weapon. This is the worst one out of the 4, but it's okay, like, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as the Grease Gun. I would probably say this is probably like a 5, so 5 out of 10, so compared to the American option, if you have a choice between the two, get this one over the American option. But other than that, it's fine, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the next rifle. The next rifle is the Gewehr 41, which is part of the Engineer Squads. Now, because it's part of the Engineer Squads, you will have to spend 3,750 if you want to use this rifle, which is a huge drawback, I think. It's got a 10-round magazine, 380 to 420 shots per minute. It's got 12 damage. It's got a really long reload time of 4.8, which is because it uses stripper clips. A lot of vertical recoil with 77, but not much horizontal with 33. Of course, it can only fire semi-automatic since it is, of course, a Gewehr 41. Much like the other weapon for the Americans, I can't remember which one it is. I think it is the Johnson. It might be the Johnson. I'll probably put an annotation on the screen if it isn't. But just like this, it's more like a side grade to the Gewehr 43. Now, with the Johnson, it had some advantages over the Garand with the increased magazine, but this one doesn't have any advantages over the Gewehr 43. If you've got the Gewehr 43, this is just much better. Now, I will say this one is probably a 6, maybe a 7. It's usable, but compared to how powerful the Gavir 43 is, it's just meh, really. It's like, I would say it's usable, it's nothing wrong with it, it's in Moscow, I believe, as well. So, and it's the only German semi-automatic rifle in Moscow, to my knowledge. I don't know, do not quote me on that. But, yeah, I'm not really a fan of the Gavir 41. I just think it's not as good as the Gavir 43. Gavir 43, of course, is not a premium option, and let's just face it, every German rifle, of course, is outclassed by the FG42 as well, so got that thing to worry about. And also the price, I do not like that price at all. Same reason with the Johnson, that price, too much. Anyways, let's go on to the next weapon, which is the Polish BAR. Lovely. Next up is the Polish BAR. Now, the Polish BAR costs €19. Now, this is the only squad that doesn't actually cost gold. The other squads all cost gold, obviously. And it's basically a BAR. In fact, I actually prefer this to the BAR. This actually feels much better than a BAR. I generally would say this is more comparable for the A2. And honestly, it's just a lot of fun to use. 12 hit power, obviously, has a fire rate of 550 to 600, reload time of 2.5, 24 vertical recoil, 11 horizontal, 20 round magazine, can use both semi and full auto fire. And it's generally just a lot of fun to use. Now, I would say the only real complaint with Axis Normandy is there is no good close range option, and the Polish BAR definitely fills this niche. Now, it's really powerful, of course. Really, really powerful. It's one of my favourite. I generally would say this is probably the most used premium squad I have ever seen. Like, I remember there was a time when I would always run into a Polish BAR squad because these things are so common. They still are quite common as well. Like, you'll usually find some guy using the Polish BAR squad. But yeah, very powerful squad, one of the best. And generally, I would say this could be the best machine gun squad for the Axis. Unlike the American BAR squad I mentioned in the prior video where I kind of criticised it for saying it was probably a little bit substandard, this one is really, really good and arguably deserving of its praise. This is arguably a 10 out of 10 premium squad. If you want to buy any premium squad in Normandy, buy this one, I would say. Now, obviously, I haven't bought it, but this is probably the only premium squad I would actually consider buying. Polish BAR, very powerful. It literally fills the hole that the Axis have with no close range LMGs. And it's just a BAR, and the BARs are all powerful. Anyways, let's move on to the final squad, which is the Emcher EMP. I probably did not pronounce that correctly. The final Axis squad, of course, is the Emcher EMP. Now, I've definitely not pronounced this correctly at all during the last two attempts, so please do not scream in the comments. It costs 4,800 gold, which not really too expensive. Really quite expensive, actually. And it's pretty much just I don't really get the Emcher much. It's got a 5.7 hit power, 500 to 550 shots a minute, 2.6 second reload time, 18 for both recoils, 20 round magazine, and it's only in fully auto. Now, the problem I have with this is Axis oversaturation, really, of submachine guns. The Axis in Normandy have like 8 submachine guns or something ridiculous like that. Like, you've got the MP34, you've got the MP35, you've got the MP40, you've got the FNAV, but that's shit. You've got both Beretta models, you've got the Model 38 and the Model 18, and you have that Czech gun, you've got the Czech SMG, which I can't say, it's like the ZK383, I believe it is, and the elephant in the room, the MP30 and the MP43. So, I don't really see this really competing. I also have the same problem with the MP18, with the recoil spinning around in a circle. And it's a little bit less noticeable here, but I really did not like this when I was firing. I think this is another 5 out of 10, same with the MP18, but I would say it's slightly better than the MP18 because you can actually see out the left side of this weapon. Fire rate's better, I believe. It was fun it was fine to fire, I guess, but I don't know, compared to the BAR and compared to the Gavir, this was not the best weapon to fire. And also, compared to the M50 I think it actually surprised me, the M50. I was going in thinking it's probably going to be like the Schmeiser, which is a weapon I'm not really keen on. But this was actually more enjoyable to fire. This was actually the M50 was actually quite enjoyable to fire, so there's another one which is, another one where there's a clear, better option, which is the M50. And also, the M50 is actually probably, it's kind of like an interesting side grade, I think. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to call this video here. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.